Good morning, my friends. It's Sunday, and usually I always clean my pasta machine on Sundays. And well, I do clean it in between too, especially if I have to condition a whole load of clay, or if I have to condition a whole load of white or translucent clay. But I thought that as I am cleaning it, why wouldn't I make a short how-to tutorial? Because this is a problem all the time. We always get all these little specks and smears, and everybody's asking, how do I clean my pasta machine? The old pasta machines, you could take them apart and clean them, but the newer ones you can't. Just to explain to you what's going on, so you know what you're looking for. This is my old Amaco pasta machine. I used to have a better one, but somebody got over enthusiastic into helping me and offered to clean it and busted it. Especially because they did exactly what you're not supposed to do. They cleaned it with a hunting knife, so they ruined my fenders. So if we get the pasta machine, if we would look from the side, what happens? You have the rollers. So imagine that you have a slice through the pasta machine, and you have the two rollers that go like this, and your clay comes like this. And of course you have the front and the back. Now what happens? You have there are long strips of like metal sheet that, again, in section they are like this. Now what's the use for them is to stop the clay, because the rollers go like this. And if these fenders wouldn't be here, the clay would have the tendency to climb back on either of the rollers and just get wrapped around the roller. So the fenders are actually stopping the clay from doing that. But as you keep rolling the clay through the pasta machine, you have practically 4 spots where you get clay accumulating. And it's usually the softer clay that would get practically packed. This is one spot. This is one spot. These are the spots with the biggest accumulation of clay. I don't know why it's behind, but it is. And then you'll have some here and here, not as much, and in these 2 spots. So what you have to do, number one, never use metal. Use these shish kebab bamboo sticks. And what you do first, you kind of look inside, see the clay exactly where I told you it would be, and I'll find the same accumulation on both sides, both here and on the other side in the same spot. Now the other one is kind of hard to show you, but if you'd put your fingers in here, you will feel it. You feel the clay being there. It's impossible for me to get the pasta machine under the camera so you can see. So it would be here in between the 2 fenders, and it will be on both of them. So what you do first, but again, this has to be done very, very, very delicately. And because the moment you push and deform those fenders, that's it. Your sheets of clay will come up distorted. you'll get all kinds of ripples. The machine might start pulling on one side more than the other. So very, very careful. Do not push, just very gently, because you don't need a lot of pressure to dislodge the biggest chunks of clay. Oh, I will do on both sides. See, very gently. I go very, very gently with it. The moment I feel that I need to push too hard, I stop pushing. I'm trying to do it so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm looking actually at the monitor instead of looking at the machine. See, I'm not pushing at all hard. Okay, I will pause this so I can get past this step, so we can get to the next step, but I need to see what I'm doing. Okay, I got everything that could be gotten without pushing too hard. In the next step, what you do, you will need a lot of paper towels and a lot of alcohol. Alcohol practically dissolves the raw clay. This is why it's used a lot in smoothing the raw clay. So what I will be doing is to wrap the tip of this bamboo skewer, then soak it in alcohol and get it in those spots. And what I'm doing this time, I am not pushing at all. What I am doing is just rubbing along. And as it gets dirty, because you see it gets dirty, definitely, you just change the spot, and you can actually spray alcohol right on this. It does help. And to make sure that the tip of the bamboo skewer doesn't come through the paper, and you only have the paper to rub, and you rub and you rub and you rub until this starts coming off clean. And you do that on all 4 spots, and then there's one more spot. It's right here at the corners of the rollers that you have to do the same alcohol rubbing. So let me do this and I'll be back with the next step. And you don't do this just to the sides. The bamboo skewer is actually flexible enough that you can convince it to bend a little, only that you have to go, let me try and lift this so you can have a, so the only problem is that you'll kind of have to go from the sides like this and just keep rubbing without pushing, and then do the same thing from the other side. Now this step will take at least 5 minutes because you need to rub quite a bit until, I mean, it depends of course on how dirty your machine is, but you need to rub quite a bit until you manage to dissolve all the polymer clay that's in there, and until your paper comes off clean. So I'll be back. As you won't be able to get too far with the skewer, your next step is actually to use your fingers. So you soak real good the paper towel, and then you do this, and you get your fingers between those 2 fenders in here. And again, do not push. All you do is rubbing. And look what's happening in here. So you do this until your paper comes off clean. And I don't know how many times I would repeat over and over and over. Do not push. Do not try to force any piece of paper anywhere. Do not try to push the bamboo skewer anywhere. All you do is to very gently rub. So just by the alcohol penetrating that clay with repeated motions, it will start coming off. And you change the side and make sure that your paper towel is at all times soaked in alcohol. Get this. Okay. Is at all times soaked in alcohol, and all you do again is just rub, rub, rub. See, I still have quite a bit, so let me finish this and I'll be back. Now remember those corners I was talking about. You get some Q-tip. Make sure that you go ahead and kind of tighten it up a little bit more. Then soak it in alcohol and gently rub here. In that corner I told you you'll have more clay, and sometimes right above the roller you might get some clay accumulation, and you do the same on all 4 sides, 2 sides on each roller, until your Q-tip comes off clean. Now you will get your Q-tip, and even if you think that you cleaned it very well because your paper towel came off clean when you did the wrapped skewer end, now go with the Q-tip and again do not press, just wipe. And see, there's even more, and do that again in the middle. I forgot to say, when you do this, make sure that you set your pasta machine on the thickest setting. See, look how much crap. So the rollers will be far apart and you'll have some more. Okay, look, all this gunk. And this is in the middle. But again, you do not push, you do not press. All you do is gently wipe. That's all you need to do. And here I had the paper towel came off clean. Well, this one is almost clean, so I'll insist a little bit more in the very middle. Okay, now that we got rid of all this gunk, and there was quite some gunk, so even if I think I cleaned my machine on Wednesday, but I did have to do a lot of black through it. And then I got 2 paper towels full. Hello, Connor. What you doing? Really? Oh my goodness, yes, he's kind of busy and he requires attention. Now, what you do is, you don't mount it yet. Get a paper towel, set it on medium setting. Fold your paper towel first in 4. Soak it real good. And then grab your handle. And get the paper towel through. So see, it's not tight enough. I am going to change to levels down, and make sure that this is really well soaked, and do the same thing. It's relatively thin, and now I will go to the thinnest setting, and again make sure it's soaked on both sides, and do that again. So it looks fairly good. Now roll back and forth while you're wiping. Then wipe really good all this area, and then make sure that you check the back of it, the bottom of it, because sometimes you will get pieces of clay that get stuck there, and then they will come out exactly when you don't need them. So at this point, make sure that you clean the rollers really good. At this point, what I like to do is, after I mount the machine, I will show you. Let me mount it and I'll be back. So once I mounted it, I once again make sure that the rollers, so don't press it in between, just hold it here so the rollers will get cleaned while you're doing this. And of course, wipe it all around and on the bottom and all over the place. But then what I like to do is grab a little bit of Armor All and do the same thing. Kind of coat my rollers a little bit. You don't want it to go through. You just want it to wipe the rollers really good. And you will see that the moment you apply the Armor All, you'll have a few more pieces coming out that got stuck in between all over the place. And check while you're rolling to make sure you don't have anything coming out. And then before doing anything else, I always have a half and half white and translucent ready, and I go on the thinnest setting with it a little bit, pretty much like the thickest setting, and I force it through a little, because that way I know that it will pick up everything. So I go through the whole length, making sure that I wrap it relatively thick so it would get a little bit forced. Not too much, because you don't want to mess up your machine. About the size of the thickest setting. So see, there was quite a bit at the end here that didn't hide somewhere, so I'm going to go again with it and see if I pick more. But I think that I got all. I will do the Armor All again just to be on the safe side. This time I am just wiping. And then we'll pass with the white / translucent again. And as you can see, it's clean now. Now, this is not to say that you absolutely and perfectly cleaned it, and especially after you clean it, you'll have the surprise of one or two pieces that got dislodged while you were cleaning and then managed to hide somewhere. And once you start using the machine, they will decide, oh yay, time for me to come out. So pretty much this is how you clean your pasta machine. And once again, don't push on the fenders, because the moment you distort your fenders, your machine is fried. Okay, happy claying!